From the Mercy One studio.
Support for Faith on Trial and Iowa Catholic Radio provided in part by Imogene Ingredients.
Our freedom of conscience and religion is being challenged by laws and regulations imposed by secular society. It's time to hear from the top Christian litigators in the nation who have come forward to tell us the truth and help us defend our faith.
Hear ye, hear ye. All rise. Faith on Trial with Defender of the Faith, Deacon Mike Mano, is in session.
And good Thursday morning from the Mercy One Studios in West Des Moines. I'm Deacon Mike Mano here with Gina Knoll. Gina, how are you this morning?
I am doing well.
Yeah. It's one of those mornings, isn't it?
It is, and you forget when the weather gets nice, all those barricades go up. It's the construction is everywhere. It took me a little while to get here this morning. Kind of panicked, thought I might not make it, but here I am, and I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, got an interesting show today.
Yes, I don't want to miss this one.
Our old friend Brad Dacus is back with a couple of interesting cases out of Oregon.
Right.
He's in California, but they've opened up several new offices out of state. We'll ask him about those when we get him on the line.
Yeah, he is very involved in a lot of the West Coast cases against religious liberty. Speaking of the West Coast, I don't know if you saw this, but I noticed this morning in my Facebook feed that Sweet Cakes by Melissa has moved to Montana. And as of yesterday, they put a sign up on a new store, and she's beginning to make cakes in Montana. So,
very good.
I share that story because there's always hope. I want to remind our listeners that through all of these battles, there's always hope, and there's always renewal.
And Jack Phillips, our baker from Colorado.
Oh, he's under attack again.
He's under attack again, this time for not baking a transition cake to celebrate the person's transition from, I guess, male to female or whatever it is. He said, I can't do it. So they're suing him again, and the local court has already ruled against him.
Yeah, I was going to say he just he suffered a setback yesterday in the courts, but
they target him.
Right.
They know what he's going to do, and so they go to him knowing they're going to be turned down so that they can sue him again. That's what this is about. And they talk about people who hate. Those are the people who hate.
Right, and I heard his attorney on the news talk about how the Supreme Court didn't address the issue that's under review in this particular case, and that they're hoping that they can bring this particular case all the way to the Supreme Court so they can get a final ruling.
Well, they will.
Which help all kinds of artists.
That's ADF representing them. So
yes,
they'll
they're
take
busy
it up.
people.
They will take it up. They will take it up. Yeah, we've got a gal in ADF that is just waiting with bated breath to put somebody on our program, and they have a very engaged and active promotional communications department, and they reach out to us all the time.
Well, they're growing, and they unfortunately have more and more of these religious liberty cases. So we'll be able to share them with our listeners, and at some point I'm hoping that our legal system addresses the freedoms allowed in our Constitution.
And then after Brad, we have Advocates for Faith and Freedom, Mariah Gondeiro. We'll get her to pronounce it correctly for us. But anyway, there's a case in Santa Clara, California, where the county is wanting to open or to get a hold of a church's records, financial records, to see how much it made during the coronavirus.
Well, you talk about the Colorado baker under attack over and over again. This is the same church that we've, they're moving, the county restricted their movements and their practice of their services, and it escalated during the shutdown.
Right. And they keep fining them and fining them and fining them. They notify. Well, we'll have Myra talk about it, but they notified their bank that they were in default on paying these fines, and the bank was ready to close them down, and because the cases are still under appeal, and it's a direct attack on a religious institution is what it is.
Well, I'm anxious to hear that story today also, just to find out where they're at and how the church is holding up.
And then when we come back after both our guests, we're going to talk a little bit about I don't want to say the new version of our program, but the changes we're going to be
show.
making, and the addition of maybe a podcast or two.
Something new for you,
Right,
Deacon Mike. Technology, you're getting into the cutting edge.
And I don't know any of this. I know how to turn on the computer. That's about all I know.
Well, we
how
have
to
a
do.
great staff here, ready to support us. So
That's
and
right.
our listeners. So
That's right.
Great.
Faith on Trial Extra.
That's
Is
right.
what? Yeah.
Oh,
So,
that'll be good.
yeah.
That'll be
That's
good.
what we're going to be talking about. Do we have a prayer to open up with?
I do. A prayer for peace this morning. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. God of peace, bring your peace to our violent world, peace in the hearts of all men and women, and peace among the nations of this earth. Turn to your way of love, those whose hearts and minds are consumed with hatred. Strengthen us in hope and give us the wisdom and courage to work tirelessly for a world where true peace and love reign among nations and in the hearts of all. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. And speaking of prayers, we should mention that our seminarian, Nick Smith, was
from our parish,
St. Augustine, was ordained a transitional deacon over the weekend, and I think you were there for the first Mass he assisted at, and he gave one heck of a
wonderful
homily.
Mustard seed homily.
That's
yes.
right. It was a great homily.
Good message for all of us.
So we're looking forward another year, and we'll see him ordained a priest.
He will make a wonderful priest.
All right.
We pray for him.
Yeah, we certainly do. You're listening to Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio, and we will be back in just a couple of minutes with Brad Dacus from the Pacific Justice Institute.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and John Leonetti in the Morning is provided by Blessman International. Blessman International partners with volunteers and donors to provide sustainable programs for children in South Africa by leading 12-day all-inclusive experiences, sharing the heart of Christ with vulnerable children in South Africa. Teams are forming to do something significant in an African child's life. Learn more at blessmaninternational.org. Thank you to Blessman International for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and the Uncommon Good provided by Mercy College of Health Sciences, where you can chart your course for more.
This is Bo Bonner.
And I'm Dr. Bud Marr from the Uncommon Good.
Mercy College provides unparalleled clinical rotations, hands-on learning, accelerated education, and flexible schedules. Since 1899, Mercy College has been transforming students into healthcare professionals. Guided by Catholic values, our faculty put classroom theory into practice. Students are prepared for roles in service and leadership throughout their own careers.
Learn more at mchs.edu.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and John Leonetti in the Morning provided by Bell Construction.
Bell Construction is a roofing company. They specialize in residential re-roofs, like commercial jobs, and have the experience to meet all of your roofing needs with personal service. With Bell Construction, the owner will come to your home or place of business in person to inspect and ensure the quality of work that you deserve. They pride themselves in working with you on a personal basis and making sure you are satisfied. Bell Construction, 515-963-4494. Bell Construction.
Thank you, Big Red Q Quick Print, for underwriting the sports report. Family owned and operated since 1980, Big Red Q Quick Print is a full-service print shop ready to help you with all your printing needs with speed and accuracy. Forms, manuals, brochures, letterhead, envelopes, business cards, custom invitations, design, and bindery. Big Red Q Quick Print, located across from Merle Hay Mall. Online at bigredq-desmoines.com. Big Red Q Quick Print. We make printing easy.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Dowling Catholic Sports is provided in part by Ashworth Vision Clinic. With 2 licensed optometrists, Barbara Sheets, a Dowling graduate, and Dr. Craig Harper, the Ashworth Vision Clinic team provides complete eye exams, contact lenses, glasses, glaucoma testing, and pre- and post-operative care. Ashworth Vision Clinic is located at 60th and Ashworth in West Des Moines. 515-440-4610 or online, ashworthvision.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Faith on Trial provided by Paul Martin and Paul Mitchell, owners of Imogene Ingredients. Imogene Ingredients supply specialized feed ingredients for livestock and pet diets to improve maternal and young animal health in both conventional and organic production. And you're listening to Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio, and we're back now with Brad Dacus from the Pacific Justice Institute. Good morning, Brad. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fantastic. Thank you.
I noticed, and Gene and I were talking about this before we went to break. The cases we want to talk to you about today are not in, not in California. They're in Oregon. And I was noting that you've opened up some offices for Pacific Justice in several other states now. You want to give us a little rundown on what you're doing with that, so our listeners who might want to follow you know where you are and how to contact you?
Oh, you bet. Well, as you know, one thing that makes us unique as a legal ministry is that we don't just cherry-pick high-profile cases. We work hard to make sure that no one's left on the side of the road, that everyone gets protection and defense without charge when it comes to religious freedom, parental rights, sanctity of life. So to do that, we have opened offices now of course, in California, Oregon, Washington State, Nevada, Colorado, Texas, Mississippi, Florida, New York, serving New Jersey, Ohio, and the latest is Wisconsin. And we're just really working hard to make sure that basically the devil has no place to go for a vacation.
I'm waiting for you to open up an office around us so we can put our radio studio right there.
Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah.
That would be nice. We're looking for the biggest blotches of blue on the map, and we're paratrooping right in the middle of them.
Well, that's good. That's where we need you.
Yeah, we're really very pleased about that moving ahead, and of course we're also very pleased about the Supreme Court decision that just came down this morning. Probably one of the biggest religious freedom successes that we've seen in a good while. This is a little different than the case in Oregon, but I did want to mention this, that
Sure.
it was apparently a unanimous decision ruling in favor of the Catholic foster care adoption agency there in Philadelphia, unanimously, 9-0. And they ruled that the government has to reasonably accommodate the religious beliefs and convictions of this agency. And they were trying to be forced to give your kids to non-traditional married couples. And, of course, that violates the teachings of Scripture and the Catholic Church.
Sure.
And so the fact that it's a 9-0 decision, though, that was a very pleasant surprise, and that gives us all the more encouragement moving forward in cases like the one we have in Oregon.
There was a lot of anti-Catholicism voiced by the city and those representing the city, anti-Christian animus, I think, in that case. Yes. And so I'm happy that came down today. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but obviously that's one of the first things I'm going to read when I get home. I want to talk about what's going on in Oregon. If you can kind of give us this thumbnail version of what I guess it's the Grants Pass Oregon School District is doing.
Oh, you bet. The Grants Pass School District has decided to put two teachers on leave, two junior high teachers on leave, and they're pending termination. And the egregious thing that these teachers did, mind you, was not on school grounds, didn't mention the school. It was actually them communicating on their own private platform, on their own website, their objection to radical policies on a national, state, and local level that they believe was not in the best interest of education, students, or parents. Specifically, some of the things that they advocated were that, number one, that when it comes to the transgender issue, that they favored policies that brought parents into the equation, that notified parents, and they could work with the parents to make sure that they were a part of what was going on, that this wasn't done behind parents' backs. They also wanted to be able to have their own conscience respected and not be forced to use pronouns that they treated as a lie and contrary to what their conscience said was right. And then they also came out against teenage boys being allowed to go into girls' locker rooms while the girls were there changing, showering, and dressing because of the alleged gender identity dysphoria of the teenage boy.
Now, so I can't imagine any father of a teenage girl letting that stand.
Right. Well, apparently this school district thought what they said was so terrible that they wanted to fire these two teachers and these two, junior high, middle school teachers. So we at Pacific Justice Institute, we have stepped in. We filed a major lawsuit in federal court. The courts have held in the past that, teachers do not shed their First Amendment rights at the schoolhouse gate.
Right.
Well, here we're just talking about two teachers in their private capacity, not even mentioning that they're teachers, not even mentioning what school they go to or that they teach at, just expressing themselves on their own private website. And because it doesn't agree with the far leftist radical policies of this school district and administration, they're pending termination. So we're we filed this lawsuit. We think it's a strong case. Ray Hackey's the attorney in our Oregon office. He's a bulldog litigator, and we're real confident. I think in the end of the day, especially with this Supreme Court, one way or the other, those teachers are going to prevail.
Yeah.
So my question is, it has something to do with the policies of the school. Is there a policy in place? Were there any forewarning for these teachers that this kind of behavior was not allowed in their capacity as an employee of the district?
Oh, yeah. This is the policy of the school district to irrespective of your faith and conviction as a teacher. If a girl says, "Call me a he," they were supposed to, to do that. Boys who want to go in girls' locker rooms, if they say that they feel like they're a girl, no psychiatric examination required. Just go right on in there, strip off your clothes, and look at the girls. It's when I say that, I don't mean it to be mean. I mean, there's even a child who has real gender identity dysphoria, which is a real mental condition. The overwhelming majority of them, studies show, are still sexually turned on and attracted to girls. So this just sort of shows this is not like, this is basically telling these girls that they can be visually violated as a regular part of being in a mandatory public education, public school, if their parents can't afford a private school or homeschooling. So these are very serious issues, and we're somewhat confident that with the Supreme Court that we have, one way or the other, that these teachers are going to prevail, the parents are going to prevail, religious freedom is going to prevail.
Now, there was a second case that you filed almost just days later involving, it looks like, the same school district, another teacher by the name of Ryan Clark that has had several restrictions placed on him by the school district.
Yeah, Ryan Clark is a man who is really strong in his Christian faith, and he goes out and far away from the school district's or campus, but he goes out and shares the gospel, preaches the gospel in a traditional public forum, which is protected by the First Amendment, and he preaches the whole gospel, preaches about sin and salvation and redemption and healing through faith in Christ. Well, as it turns out, this school district, they don't like having one of their teachers preaching something that they don't agree with. They don't agree with the gospel, apparently, and there's a lot of intolerant people, I guess, public school teachers there who don't like Christians and people preaching the Christian faith. So they have told him that he has to cease and desist, that they're not going to allow him to preach the gospel anywhere. They don't like the fact that he mentions sins. And, of course, without sin, you have no need for a Savior. Just a minor technicality of the gospel, if you will, being facetious. But so he's under attack. So we went ahead, we stepped in, and we've filed a lawsuit on his behalf. And we file lawsuits on behalf of people all across the country who are being criminally prosecuted as we speak for doing one thing, and that's preaching and sharing the good news of Jesus Christ.
The thing that bothers me about the Ryan Clark case is the school officials have now prohibited him from speaking at youth gatherings within the district's boundaries, which means that he can't teach Sunday school as he had or lead youth groups as he had.
Right, yeah. And, of course, this is an overreach on steroids, if you will, by the school district to think that they can control the ability of one of their teachers to lead Sunday school or not, or youth group or not. They're treating him like he's a pedophile, like it's outrageous. And yet Ryan Clark is a great guy, loves the Lord, and loves kids. And this is a clear violation of his First Amendment rights. Once again, I'm fairly confident at the end of the day with the Supreme Court that we have that he will prevail, and the people of Grants Pass should learn their lesson very quickly to elect school board members that are rational, reasonable, and respect the Constitution of the United States.
I think we've kind of missed that a little bit over the years. We look at our politics, as being Washington-driven, and we look at Congress and we look at the president, but we seem to overlook local levels of government involvement with our lives, especially in schools. Now, I've noticed across the country today there seems to be a reaction against overbearing school districts and school boards, and some of the parents, anyway, even in blue states, seem to be reacting against what is going on. Do you find that, and you're out in the blue left coast, do you find any of that going on out there, especially up in Oregon, where I would think you're in a pretty liberal area there?
Yeah, even in conservative areas on the West Coast, like in Orange County, there's the Capistrano Unified School District. They're apparently moving full steam on some of the radical sex ed curriculum mandates, the critical race theory, places that are actually dominated more red than blue, if you will. Those school boards are beholden to the teachers' union, the money of the teachers' union. So, school districts, like I said, the Capistrano Unified School Districts and others are going out on approving these radical agendas. And parents are alarmed, and the response, of course, should be run for office, get trained for it. We at Pacific Justice Institute are actually working in a cooperative effort to help those individuals get the counsel that they need, get the training that they need, and even potentially the funding that they need moving ahead. So these are this is something that needs to be addressed. And, of course, we, having offices across the country, are able to represent parents at the school board member, sue the school districts, sue the school boards, and we'll do so very aggressively in the days ahead as needed.
And in addition to that, I find that both of these stories have a similar theme where their fellow teachers are the ones who, quote unquote, turned them in or pointed out their religious activities to the school board. This is such a culture of envy, and I know we've talked about this on the show before. How do our faith-based teachers avoid these kinds of conflicts with their fellow teachers?
Well, that's a good point. We actually have a booklet and a book online free of charge. One's called to deal with teachers' rights in schools. Another one's called Reclaim Your School. It's a book, the whole chapter, Empowering Teachers. One thing they need to do, of course, is get their tenure, because once they have tenure, they're very difficult to fire for good or for bad, and also understanding their rights and freedoms under not only federal law but state law as well. Teachers do have rights. Unfortunately, we see teachers using those rights liberally and unconstitutionally oftentimes to persecute Christian students and bring in outrageous agendas in violation of parental rights. On the flip side, we see teachers who do have rights, like these teachers, being trounced upon. So people should not hesitate. Teachers should not hesitate to be informed, to go to our website, get these resources, and contact us for representation. If people want to run for office, they're interested in running for a school board, they should also contact us, and we can help steer them in hopefully in the right direction.
Why don't you give us that website?
Sure. It's pji.org, P for Pacific, J for Justice, I for Institute.org, pji.org. And
you have, I think, a newsletter that a person can get there, too. And also, very important, is a donation button, because you are a pro bono firm. You do need funds.
Right.
And so if people have any leftover change at the end of the day, they might want to send it your way.
Well, absolutely. And we're here to serve. And if there's any churches or parishes out there that need assistance, they should never hesitate to give us a call. We always do all our work without charge, and we have more offices across the country than any other organization, and we're committed to making sure everyone gets help. So there's no reason people should ever hesitate to contact us for help.
Very good. And how do you see the pendulum swinging these days? Is it starting to swing back our way, or is it still going pretty far to the left?
The critical race theory is out there. It's being pushed by Democrat-controlled school districts. I'm just sort of cutting to the chase of it, of the issue, if you don't mind. But yet we are seeing an outrage, an outcry of people wanting to stand up to that, wanting to exercise their rights as parents for full disclosure of all curriculum materials, which they're entitled to under law. So I think that it is starting to swing. I think we're going to see that manifest very clearly in the next midterm election.
Okay. You kind of feel the groundswell out there a bit.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, without a doubt. I spoke to a special group meeting in Southern Orange County. I expected maybe a half a dozen at this special group meeting, and it was over 100 were there. And I can see the concern. People, feel the flames at their doorstep, if you will, and people are realizing they need to get involved at the local level and not just at the federal level and federal campaigns.
Catholics call that subsidiarity, working at the lowest level possible to begin with.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Brad, I want to thank you for joining us today. We certainly appreciate having you. We always appreciate having you, and congratulations on the new offices. And it sounds like one up in Wisconsin might be fairly close to us if anybody needs any help. But we thank you for joining us. We thank you for doing what you do, and we'll keep in mind pji.org.
You got it. Thank you very much.
Thank
I look
you.
forward to serving everyone in your audience.
Thank you,
Brad.
God bless you, Brad.
You too.
You're listening to Faith on Trial, Iowa Catholic Radio, and we will be right back after these messages.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and John Leonetti in the Morning is provided by Blessman International. Blessman International partners with volunteers and donors to provide sustainable programs for children in South Africa by leading a 12-day, all-inclusive experience sharing the heart of Christ with vulnerable children in South Africa. Teams are forming to do something significant in an African child's life. Learn more at blessmaninternational.org. That's blessmaninternational.org. Thank you, Blessman International, for your support of Iowa Catholic Radio.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and the Uncommon Good provided by Mercy College of Health Sciences, where you can chart your course for more.
This is Bo Bonner.
And I'm Dr. Bud Marr from the Uncommon Good.
Mercy College provides unparalleled clinical rotations, hands-on learning, accelerated education, and flexible schedules. Since 1899, Mercy College has been transforming students into healthcare professionals. Guided by Catholic values, our faculty put classroom theory into practice. Students are prepared for roles in service and leadership throughout their own careers.
Learn more at mchs.edu.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and John Leonetti in the Morning provided by Bell Construction.
Bell Construction is a roofing company. They specialize in residential re-roofs, light commercial jobs, and have the experience to meet all of your roofing needs with personal service. With Bell Construction, the owner will come to your home or place of business in person to inspect and ensure the quality of work that you deserve. They pride themselves in working with you on a personal basis and making sure you are satisfied. Bell Construction, 515-963-4494. Bell Construction.
Thank you, Big Red Q Quick Print, for underwriting the sports report. Family owned and operated since 1980. Big Red Q Quick Print is a full-service print shop ready to help you with all your printing needs with speed and accuracy. Forms, manuals, brochures, letterhead, envelopes, business cards, custom invitations, design, and bindery. Big Red Q Quick Print, located across from Merle Hay Mall. Online at bigredq-desmoines.com. Big Red Q Quick Print. We make printing easy.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Dowling Catholic Sports is provided in part by Ashworth Vision Clinic. With 2 licensed optometrists, Barbara Sheets, a Dowling graduate, and Dr. Craig Harper, the Ashworth Vision Clinic team provides complete eye exams, contact lenses, glasses, glaucoma testing, and pre- and post-operative care. Ashworth Vision Clinic is located at 60th and Ashworth in West Des Moines. 515-440-4610 or online, ashworthvision.com.
Here's your forecast on Iowa Catholic Radio. Very hot and humid through the afternoon with our high temperature going up to about 100 and our heat index as high as 104. Wind will be gusty. Some showers and thunderstorms possible overnight, low 70s, and then another hot day tomorrow, mid-90s and sunny. The weather is brought to you by Divine Treasures, a Catholic book and gift store serving the Des Moines community for over 25 years. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton on Iowa Catholic Radio.
And you're listening to Faith on Trial, Iowa Catholic Radio, and we are back here waiting to be connected with our next guest. And while we're waiting, there's a couple of things that have happened today, and let's talk about the case that Brad was talking about out of Philadelphia.
Right. We've had them on before. Oh, do you remember the attorneys that were handling that case?
I think it was ADF.
Was it?
I think it was ADF. But what it was is they were having a problem with foster care in Philadelphia. And what the foster care people did is they partnered with the city to place children in foster care. And there was a lot of animus against the church and against Catholicism and against Christianity that was sparked in that lawsuit. We got our guest now. It was sparked in that lawsuit, and they lost the first couple of rounds. It sounds like the Supreme Court now just came out and
another unanimous case.
Another unanimous case, right?
Yeah.
Right. All right. We have with us now Myra Gondeiro. Did I pronounce that right, Myra?
It's Mariah.
Oh, Mariah.
Gondeiro.
I'm sorry. Sometimes I mispronounce Mike, so don't feel bad, Mariah.
It's okay. My name is tough.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All right. Let's talk about Santa Clara County and Calvary Chapel in San Jose, and how the city there wants to find out how much, I guess it's the county, wants to find out how much this church made during the pandemic.
Yes. So that is their new theory now. As you guys are well aware, the Supreme Court now 5 times has held California's public health orders are unconstitutional. So they don't really have any leverage anymore to keep pursuing this case against this church. So now their whole theory is that Mike stayed open on purpose just to profit off of the pandemic, and he's not really injured because he's made a lot of money on the pandemic. And so they have been fighting to get financial records of the church, and I mean financial records from taxes to even looking at where the individual sources of revenue come from. So just really intrusive document requests. And the federal court said, no, we're not going to, got to go to state court. And so they're going to try to go to state court to get these documents, and we're just going to keep fighting to make sure they can't just interfere and intrude on this church's rights anymore.
Yeah, now, as this thing started out, I guess it was the county had restrictions on indoor church services. Is that correct?
Yeah, so Santa Clara County has really had the most restrictive measures in place out of the entire state of California. Even the state of California's rules weren't restrictive enough for Santa Clara County.
And that's saying a lot.
For the most part, they, for the most part, just completely banned indoor gatherings for churches for a large majority of the pandemic. But that even Santa Clara County's orders alone were deemed unconstitutional by the Supreme Court.
But they continue to fine the church. Is that correct?
Yes, even after the Supreme Court opinions, yes, they continue to fine the church. They didn't stop until like a week and a half ago. And so now they stopped at $3.5 million.
$3.5 million. Okay.
Yeah.
For
they figured that was a
good
good
service.
Stopping point.
Yeah.
Mariah, was this the same county that still allowed strip clubs to be opened? There's so many of these stories.
Yeah, that was a different county.
Okay.
But they also had, very unreasonable and illogical exemptions that they gave to certain entities, as did the state.
Yeah, we find in these stories that most often it's the church that has the strictest of all of the restrictions, while other similar organizations, more secular, have looser
most of these places you could go to Target. You just couldn't go to church.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's exactly why the Supreme Court said, no, these are unconstitutional. You can't just treat secular entities and activities better than churches who have constitutionally protected rights.
I'm interested in what the county did in noticing the church's bank about what was going on, because this seems to be really overstepping their bounds.
Oh, yeah. I think they definitely overstepped. Absolutely. I mean, just imagine, let's say, you're in a criminal trial and you have the prosecution trying to undermine the defendant's ability to pay. That's just clearly wrong here. And that's what they did here. While Pastor McClure was going into contempt proceedings, they sent they had sent letters to the bank, and the bank interpreted the letters as veiled threats, but the letters never informed the bank that Pastor Mike was actively contesting the fines. It just made it seem like Mike had to pay the fines. And so they felt like that was a threat to the property, that they were going to take the property.
Yeah, because he was in default.
And so,
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so they temporarily let go of Mike. So they didn't hear the other side of the story, but when they heard the other half of the story, they immediately apologized. They felt so bad. But we are not going to let this one slide, because we believe this, at the minimum, represents church's interference with a contractual relationship.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't interfere with this bank, and Mike was hurt by it because he was trying to fight off, contempt fines and having to divert his attention to figuring out how he was going to keep the church doors open.
Well, it shows an animus on the part of the county that they would go that far as to notifying the bank that he was I guess he was in default. And now they want to know how much he made during the pandemic by staying open.
This county, I have to be so careful with my words, but they're just abusing.
Go ahead, let it out.
They're just abusing the process.
Yeah.
They are abusing their government positions. This is what abuse of government looks like. Pastor Mike is the poster child right now of government abuse.
Now, you're with the Advocates for Faith and Freedom, and I see from your website, excuse me, and from the email I get, the press releases, and that you're involved in a lot of these types of cases.
I am, yes.
And
this one definitely tops the cakes.
Yeah, it sounds like.
Are they all over the country, or are you mostly in the West Coast?
Well, mostly in California, because that's where it's mostly needed.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
So will this particular case send a message to the county governments or any of the governments in California as you move through the legal system in asking for reparations from the county and for the abuse that they caused to the organizations?
I think, obviously, if we win, I think it will send a strong message. But this county feels so emboldened. I mean, you have to remember that the Supreme Court has already held their orders were unconstitutional. If that's not enough, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, now this case...
The county is just reckless.
The county is still pursuing, I guess it's $2 million from the church in fines.
Yep. Well, 3.5 now.
3.5.
They didn't even let us know anymore. They stopped noticing them. And then a week and a half later, they said, "Oh, it's at 3.5 now."
Okay, so now the situation now for you would be to get the fines all removed.
Absolutely. So yeah, we have different theories. So obviously, the first one is the fines are unconstitutional under the First Amendment because they're based off of unconstitutional public health orders that violated the First Amendment. But also, too, and I believe this is probably our strongest claim, is the cruel and unusual punishment under the Eighth Amendment.
Oh.
And the fines are not proportionate to any harm. The church has not caused any harm.
Are there demands that you're making of the county government, any restitution or other kinds of claims against the county?
Yeah, so there's something called sovereign immunity where, government usually is immune from damages, but we do have a statutory claim under California that we filed against the government where we can get damages, and then we can obviously get attorney's fees, and then we're also considering adding the church's interference with a business relationship, which would give us damages as well as punitive damages.
Okay, so how close?
Punitive as well.
How close are you coming to having the fines vacated? Is the county still arguing that they're entitled to that $3 million?
It is interesting because we're in the middle of discovery, and as you guys probably know, the discovery can take a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I was figuring
I'm an attorney,
that the county would want to. I was figuring that the the county would just want to settle this, but they haven't been insinuating any kind of settlement to me. So we're just going, fast forward into discovery, trying to get all the discovery we need because they're not showing that they're wanting to settle this.
That seems to be a pattern throughout the United States, and we've dealt with these cases, is that even though on paper it's pretty clear what's probably going to happen, the local governments tend to, especially school boards, tend to dig in their heels and don't give up to the very last minute.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on here. Is they're pushing really hard, but I think that if we start pushing back even harder, I think at one point they're just going to give up.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
You would hope, because
they're on the wrong side of it, it sounds like. Yes. What about public support? I know in California, there's kind of a mini revolution going on with the recall of the governor. With the governor. And so in this particular county, are these supervisors or members of the board up for re-election soon? Is there public support for the church? Or is there an uproar from the citizens saying, hey, lay off? Why are you using your power this way?
I think that, it's funny you bring that up. I think that's one of the things that's driving them not to settle this case, because they were the ones that were most aggressive in implementing this punitive fine system, and then the church was most notorious for violating the fine system. So for them, it looks bad on them and makes them look weak as, county leaders, government leaders. They don't want to look like, for them it would be an admission of guilt that they have to, and also so many other businesses pay these fines. So they're thinking, well, if we settle with this church, all these businesses are going to be upset with us.
I think that's rather
I'd like to see
ironic,
that case
right?
come. Yeah.
Yes. So what you're saying, I'm hearing you say, is this is a strategy for re-election for these county board members.
I mean, possibly, yeah. They just have a lot to lose. It could be. I think they just have a lot to lose, and it would make them look really bad.
One of the reasons they may be coming after the bank records is this particular church has been getting support, perhaps, from across the country, or people see their plight?
Yeah, I think they're just grasping for straws, because they don't really have a strong legal theory. So their newest legal theory is, they're making all this money, and
in filing a case.
There was some type of ulterior motive. Yeah.
Wow. You've got quite a project.
Worshiping God was their exterior motive. Yeah.
Yeah. Freedom.
Exactly.
Which apparently isn't allowed in certain parts of California.
So you're in discovery. You're at the state court level. Is that correct?
Well, so we have two cases. So they have a state court case where they filed against Pastor Mike and the church, seeking injunctive relief. And then we have the federal lawsuit where we're challenging the fine.
Okay, so it's on the
federal
federal
and the public health order.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're fighting a two-front war there a little bit.
Yes, we are. Yep.
Now, let me ask you a little bit about the organization, because we've not had anybody from the Advocates for Faith and Freedom on in quite a while. So can you explain a little bit about your work there, and how somebody can get a hold of you or sign up to get your news releases and follow what you do?
Yeah, so I'm pretty new. I actually joined in October, but Advocates for Faith and Freedom, we're in the forefront.
Thank you. You're doing well.
Thank you. Thanks for helping my confidence. Well, we're in the forefront of defending churches, and that's why I even took on this job, because I wanted to defend churches, protect religious freedom. We also protect First Amendment rights. We have a case where a man was taken off of social media just for his political beliefs. So for us, we just believe in freedom. We believe in the First Amendment. But our primary focus is on religious liberty. And you can go to advocatesforfaithandfreedom.com if you want to support us.
Very good. And, you do everything pro bono.
We do.
Not nonprofit, yes. Right. And so you need support from others. So if people want to go to that website, they can sign up to get your information and to follow your cases and even make a donation with whatever money they have left over at the end of the day if they've already got their gas tank filled and a few other things paid for. But anyway, I also noticed that you have had on your website little video podcasts that have been available that I would recommend too.
Yeah, absolutely. We're doing a little bit more of that now, just talking about different, world issues going on. And because, oftentimes for Christians, we don't have time to always research everything and learn about everything through a Christian perspective. And so that's what we want to provide through the podcast.
Very good. Well, we certainly appreciate your time and everything today. And God bless you and your work, and we hope you do well. And we'll follow up and see how this case is going.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming.
Okay.
You're listening to Faith on Trial on Iowa Catholic Radio, and we will be right back after these messages.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and John Leonetti in the Morning provided by Bell Construction.
Bell Construction is a roofing company. They specialize in residential re-roofs, like commercial jobs, and have the experience to meet all of your roofing needs with personal service. With Bell Construction, the owner will come to your home or place of business in person to inspect and ensure the quality of work that you deserve. They pride themselves in working with you on a personal basis and making sure you are satisfied. Bell Construction, 515-963-4494. Bell Construction.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and the Uncommon Good provided by Mercy College of Health Sciences, where you can chart your course for more.
This is Bo Bonner.
And I'm Dr. Bud Marr from the Uncommon Good.
Mercy College provides unparalleled clinical rotations, hands-on learning, accelerated education, and flexible schedules. Since 1899, Mercy College has been transforming students into healthcare professionals. Guided by Catholic values, our faculty put classroom theory into practice. Students are prepared for roles in service and leadership throughout their own careers.
Learn more at mchs.edu.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Dowling Catholic Sports is provided in part by Ashworth Vision Clinic. With 2 licensed optometrists, Barbara Sheets, a Dowling graduate, and Dr. Craig Harper, the Ashworth Vision Clinic team provides complete eye exams, contact lenses, glasses, glaucoma testing, and pre- and post-operative care. Ashworth Vision Clinic is located at 60th and Ashworth in West Des Moines. 515-440-4610 or online, ashworthvision.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Catholic Women Now provided in part by Permar Security, providing security solutions for homes and businesses since 1953. Permar Security is a Catholic-owned family business supplying security systems, access control systems, video surveillance, fire alarm systems, and video doorbells. All alarm systems are monitored out of their monitoring center located in the state of Iowa. Permar Security, 515-244-5660, permarsecurity.com.
Thank you, Dental Associates, for underwriting Dowling Catholic Sports 365. With over 40 years' experience, Dental Associates is a group dental practice with the mission of promoting optimum health and well-being to all patients, providing preventative, restorative, and cosmetic dentistry for the entire family. Message underwritten by Dr. Kenton Gleichman, Dr. Steve Karbaka, and Dr. Ben Nagel. Dental Associates, addressing your smile, needs, and dreams. Online at DesMoinesDentalAssociates.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and John Leonetti in the Morning is provided by Five Sons Naturescapes. Five Sons Naturescapes is a Catholic veteran-owned family company providing premium outdoor landscaping, clean up and restore outdoor living space with retaining walls, privacy fencing, pergolas, paver sidewalks, and patios. Issues with soil settling and water around the foundation and yard? Five Sons Naturescapes can grade and install drainage tile to help. Five Sons Naturescapes online at fivesonsnaturescapes.com.
And you're listening to Faith on Trial, Iowa Catholic Radio, and we are back. And our crew handed me this note. This United States Supreme Court sided unanimously with a Catholic foster agency in a dispute against the city of Philadelphia over whether it should be banned from participating in the city's foster care program because it excludes same-sex couples. The group, Catholic Social Services, claimed that Philadelphia's attempt to exclude the Catholic Church from foster care violated the First Amendment. Lawyers for the city, meanwhile, said that CSS lacks a constitutional right to demand that DHS offer it a contract that omits some non-discrimination requirements that every other contract must follow when performing services for the city. The ruling, again, was 9-0 in favor of Catholic Social Services.
I think the thing most interesting about that particular case, I know we've talked about it here on the show, is that in Philadelphia, there's over a dozen foster care agencies that cater to different demographics in the area. And the Catholic Church was doing a phenomenal job with foster families or for foster children in the community. And the same-sex couples had other options, multiple other options for...
If you remember years ago in Massachusetts, it was Catholic social services, Catholic foster care agencies, adoption agencies that were literally forced out of the state.
Right,
because,
they were run out of business.
They were run out of the state. And in Massachusetts, they were very good at placing hard-to-place children with disabilities and things like that. And so it's the public that loses. And
it's the children, really.
Yeah.
If we care about children, so much of what we do from spite affects our children.
Jack Phillips, Masterpiece Cake Shop in Colorado, they're going after him again now. We're talking about this as the show started. They're trying to use the courts to create more cancel culture. If you don't believe as we do, if your faith is not the same as ours, and you don't believe in all this stuff, then get out of the way. Just move and you go into another line of work.
Right. I know.
Come over to the devil's side, or
Well, I that's interesting that you say that, because the courts. I don't know if we remember all of the arguments that came through the court system when the federal government and the state governments and our U.S. Department of Education tried to enact or has enacted the Common Core requirements of the schools that held so many of the standards that were anti-faith. And we fought that. We got educated on it very quickly, and it got watered down to the point that it could be acceptable to most people. And now I feel like this CRT, what is that? Critical race theory is more of the same, coming from a different angle.
Critical theory is a Marxist outgrowth. That's where it's from.
Okay, and so we put in race because that is...
Well, that's what they're using now. What it is, it's the oppressed versus the oppressors. That's how it's always laid out for people. And that's how the Marxists gain power a lot of places. They rabble-rouse until they get everybody upset about something, and that's kind of what's happening here. We've had people on to talk about this before. I wanted to make a point, though, and that's that there's a lot of communication that's needed among people of faith. Of course, that's what we try and do. But if you go on and say some of these things on Facebook, you'll be thrown off.
Right, you'll be blocked. Mm-hmm.
And what is it that they were doing in Oregon, Grant Pass School? They're telling the teacher, basically, you can't teach at Sunday school anymore. You can't work with your youth group in your church anymore. They're cutting off his ability to communicate.
Well, it's important for them to cut off communications in order to get these messages into the schools. Parents may not understand how important it is to keep an eye on what's being taught, and critical race theory then becomes an indoctrination or a philosophy that we've seen on the university level for decades, but an effort,
now it's coming to a
national effort to bring it to the elementary
is.
system. Yeah. Sure.
As we're talking about communication, we want to note that next week will be our last hour-long program. After that, we're going back to half an hour because ultimately they're going to put on the St. Francis Morning Mass, a replay of that during our time. So all the programs that are on at 10 o'clock on Monday through Friday are going to be cut for that.
That's right.
They're not attacking
us.
And Faith on Trial,
when we first started, was a half-an-hour program.
Back when we first started, it was kind of a 4-minute vignette on the drive time program is how it originally started. So we grew, and so what we're going to do is we're going to start doing some podcasting, and we're going to get some of the people that we've talked to. We're going to put them on a little bit longer periods of time, without commercial or any interruption, and we're going to talk about that. And we'll keep everybody posted on what we're doing and who we're going to be talking to. It's going to take us a little while to work out all the kinks and the details here, but when we start in July, we will basically be back to the old format of one guest. We'll probably be talking a little bit more about some of the legal news that's come across the desk, just like the Supreme Court case today. So we're going to try and keep everybody informed just as well as we're doing it now, and hopefully it will work and we'll be successful and our audience will continue to grow.
And you can listen to any of our previous programs if you want to find the Philadelphia case or others that we've talked about before and had the attorneys on the show at iowacatholicradio.com.
Right. Just pull down, it's a pull down menu and just find Faith on Trial and you can
all of our
listen
shows
to them
are
all.
there.
You can
they're
listen to them
archived.
all. And of course, you're still the highlight of the show. People are tuning in to listen to you.
Oh, to me?
To you, yeah.
They like to hear about my adventures of getting ready in the morning?
Yeah, you're exploding toothpaste.
That's right.
But no, when we set up interviews with these people, I remind the folks that you'll ask the best questions because I am, after all, a lawyer.
And I'm just curious.
Yeah, and I get into the weeds and some of this stuff. All right, let us close. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen.
Amen.
That's it for today. For Gene and myself.
Our freedom of conscience and religion is being challenged by laws and regulations imposed by secular society. Faith on Trial with Defender of the Faith, Deacon Mike Mano. Faith on Trial, Thursdays at 10 a.m. on Iowa Catholic Radio, iowacatholicradio.com, and the Iowa Catholic Radio app.